The US presidential campaign seems to have become a leading factor influencing the forex market. Until recently, markets tried to predict how Donald Trump's victory could affect the US dollar, with his promises to cut taxes, strictly limit illegal immigration, and review trade tariffs with China. The dollar was expected to strengthen. However, yesterday, Joe Biden withdrew his candidacy from the presidential race, adding some chaos to their previously clear forecasts. Thus, after rising for 2 consecutive sessions, the US dollar index remained stable today, trading around 104.40 points. Overall, its July decline has already reached 1.5%, as a cooling inflation in the US has strengthened the prospects of a Fed interest rate cut in September. Markets are also speculating about 2 more cuts by the end of the year. Investors are now eagerly awaiting key US data this week. Meanwhile, let us find out which macroeconomic reports traders should pay attention to on Tuesday and Wednesday, July 23 and 24. You're watching Traders Calendar. A trader should consider not only the top-tier reports marked with the 3 stars, but also the ones of a secondary importance. However, they only seem secondary at a first glance. For example, the consumer confidence indicator in the Eurozone clearly reflects the economic health of this part of the world. If the indicator rises to minus 13.2 points from a minus 14 points, it will indicate a moderate recovery. Nevertheless, the indicator is still far from a full rebound into positive territory. Thus, the increased consumer sentiment in the Eurozone will have a beneficial but very moderate effect on the single currency. Existing home sales are also considered an indicator of a minor importance. An increase in this indicator suggests a complex of positive economic conditions. Among the most important are inflation levels and wage growth. Therefore, the expected decline in the US existing home sales to 4 million is a negative factor for the US dollar. By the way, the next day, on July 24, the United States will release data on new home sales. Overall, Wednesday's macroeconomic statistics will focus on business activity reports. We have repeatedly discussed the role of this indicator and its influence on the country's currency. Let us recall that this report covers 3 positions, namely the manufacturing and services sector separately, as well as the combined measure, the composite index. All 3 indicators can influence the currency price. However, the services sector is usually the most positive due to its flexibility and mobility. If it drops, the other 2 indicators are also likely to be negative. For example, Australia's services PMI could be 0.3% lower than the previous reading, staying around 50.9 points. In this case, the Australian dollar will also lose value. The situation with the Japanese yen is more complicated. Its dependence on the macroeconomic statistics is not as transparent as in the case of other major currencies. Nonetheless, an increase in the services PMI should strengthen the country's currency, especially since Tokyo, which officially declared the end of a long recession only last year, is very sensitive to the decline in such indicators. The Japanese services sector may rise to 49.9 points from 49.4. In this case, the yen will also climb somewhat against the US dollar. Considering that Japan had to give up its 3rd place among the world's leading economies to Germany, a similar indicator in the main Eurozone economy should also be strong. Thus, the forecast of 53.5 points looks quite justified. If confirmed, the euro will have a chance to strengthen. By the way, forecasts for the services PMI in the Eurozone are also positive. Although the increase is small, just 0.1%, it's still noteworthy that the indicator has been rising month after month. Such a rise looks achievable, meaning an additional growth impulse for the euro. Interestingly, in the United States, the previous reading of the services PMI reached 55.3 points, the highest figure in a services activity. However, the cooling of the American economy seems to be reflecting here too. Analysts expect a decline to 55 points. If this happens, the dollar may lose some of its gains. However, let us keep in mind other indicators such as the manufacturing and the composite PMI, as well as the housing sales reports. Unlike the existing home sales we mentioned earlier, new home sales in the United States are expected to increase. Forecasts suggest they could reach 640,000 in the previous months. In the event of this, the US dollar will also gain in value, or at least show just an insignificant decline. We will monitor the market reaction to the above-mentioned reports, subscribe to our channel, and follow changes in market sentiment with us. Any comments, questions, and offers are welcomed. We wish you profitable trading and see you soon.